Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Awakening Stories, a podcast built on love. So, I have been called to do this podcast to bring on spiritual friends, spiritual influencers, people that have been into their spiritual development. They've come a long way in their growth. And so, today I have a very special guest with me, and her name is Claire Frazee. Frazee. I'm saying it wrong.
Frazee.
Frazee. Frazee. I knew it. We practiced, and I'm like, I'm going to get it wrong. So, Claire Frazee, and she is an intuitive healer, a channel, and an animal communicator. And today she has agreed to come onto the podcast to share her spiritual awakening story. So, thank you so much for joining me today, Claire. And I know that everyone's going to be inspired by your spiritual awakening story. So, what I usually ask people is start at the beginning. When did you start noticing things in your life, or what inspired you to really um, seek your spiritual growth and expansion?
Well, if you go back to the very beginning as a child, I remember, being able to just feel when there were presences around, ghosts, spirits, whatever. And just my intuitiveness of just what was going to happen before it happened. But, being raised up Catholic, that gets squashed down.
Mhm.
And then it wasn't until about 2018, maybe like 2017. So I actually sobered up. So I am a recovering alcoholic. And I had a sponsor who was spiritual, and she opened me up to all these other things because I struggled with what I thought was God at first, but it was religion. And so I was starting to open up. And then I would be doing different things for my husband because he has a horrible back and all that stuff. So I'd be doing whatever I can to work on him. And I took a little course in healing touch. And I was working on him one day, and then I felt a jolt of energy just like shoot out my foot, and that just kind of like freaked me out a little bit.
Mhm.
And that was probably 2019. And so I started taking a course in what was the Light Shine Academy, I believe, because I wanted to make sure that with what I was doing and able to do, that I kept myself safe from anything negative around.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring in negative. I dealt with too much negative in my life and wanted to keep it clear. So I took that course just just for that purpose, just to learn how to keep my, the negative away. And it was then that I was like, they had you do readings and all that stuff, and I had no idea that I was capable of that. Um, so I kind of just went with it, and that was 2020 was a year of learning, a lot of learning, and really opening up. There's still probably the 2020, there's still a lot of doubting what you're hearing is, really, is this really true?
Right?
But I was getting hit after hit after hit, and working on my husband, and I also got a horse that was Doc, my honey.
Hmm.
Um, but he was very abused before I got him. And it took me over a year to let me touch his face. Just not, but I would continually go out there and do energy work on him. Um, and I can't say that I was trained in that, especially with animals,
Hmm.
but I did what felt right, what was, what came to my mind.
Yeah.
And now Doc is wonderful. He does equine connections. He is so good with kids and people who just need some love.
Hmm.
So he's a bigger horse, but and then just continuing with working on my husband
Hmm.
because I did not like seeing him in pain, and I did take a couple courses in healing touch,
Mhm.
and I thought about going on until my husband told me that I shouldn't do it that way. He said, "You're more when you do it just the way you do it, that's what feels right." He
Yeah,
said, "That's what feels good. You know what you're doing, Claire." He said, "The way you were doing it was right."
yeah,
So I have continued to
yeah.
do that,
Mhm.
and I work on animals, people. Um, I guess last week I did do a bit of mediumship with a friend. Um, and I'm more of I can also, it's like when I do the mediumship, if it's in person, I can do like a touch so they can feel
Mhm.
it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
So yeah, it really just opened me up so much, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like being raised Catholic, this is a no-no.
I totally understand because that was my journey too, working through a lot of that programming and that fear and that doubt and always wondering, like, am I doing the wrong thing? Am I calling in evil to me? And
Mhm.
I feel like you get to a point, and I can so relate to your story because it's so much like mine. I mean, it's crazy how much it just resonates with me, like everything that happened to you, you know? And I feel like it's just the more you do it, the more you start to trust and know that you just can't make these things up. Like they're real, they're true. You feel them, and the people that you work on feel them too. You know, even if they come in with doubt after, having a healing session where somebody puts that energy towards someone and they feel it, it's like it's amazing. Like I think that's a big shift for a lot of people, to even become healers, because I've even heard people that have a Reiki session and had no idea, that they had any kind of intuitive abilities or psychic abilities. And all of a sudden, during a Reiki or a healing session, they will open up, they'll like the floodgates open up. They start seeing, spiritually, hearing spiritually. So I feel like when spiritual people put their energy together, and I know this to be true, that it just magnifies and
Mhm.
amplifies. And I feel like the more that we believe, the more it happens. Like the more the connection happens, the more the healing happens. Um, I wanted to take you back though into your story just a little bit. So you said that you were recovering alcoholic, right? So I
Yes.
have found that something very traumatic can trigger us into our spiritual awakening or our spiritual path, right? And so, can you identify with that as part of
Oh
your
yeah.
story? Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. When I was 5 was when first time I was sexually abused.
Mm.
So I was at 5, 11, and 15.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's a lot of why I drank
Yeah,
is because I did not remember what happened to me when I was 5 until I was 21 when the memories started coming back, and I tried to hold them all back.
right.
And alcohol numbs it.
Yeah,
Doesn't make it better though. So, and what you see of me today is so different. I was such an angry person.
yeah, yeah, with good reason, right? I
Yeah.
mean, of
Yeah.
course. Wow. Yeah, my heart goes out to you, and all children that have been abused. And that story is there and it's very real. And alcohol does, you do try to block things out when you drink, when people drink and they don't really realize. And sometimes, you know there's a layer to that too that I'm sure that maybe you can identify with. I don't put words into your mouth or anything, but do you think that some of what you were trying to block out as well could have been spiritual too?
Oh
you
yeah.
know yeah.
Well, they actually say a lot of people who have, the spiritual capabilities, which, just, they do also say that anybody can do this. And I think if you put your mind to it, yeah, you can.
Hmm.
But yeah, because you don't know what you have all this, I'm going to put it in the word anxiety.
Yeah.
It feels like anxiety because you don't know, you don't get all this stuff. You start to think you're crazy
Yeah.
and you numb it. and you don't fit in, you know,
Yeah.
with the norm.
Society makes us feel like we don't fit in, right?
Yeah.
No matter what
Oh
we
yeah.
do, it's like if we don't fit into that little box of religion, or,
Hmm.
we're a certain way and we're not all doing the same thing, then somehow we internalize there's something wrong with us.
Hmm.
And it's anything further from the truth. It's actually the opposite. There's really nothing wrong with us. It's just that our society, especially the Western world, like our culture, especially in America, like we might be stepping up a couple of levels now with the Great Awakening that's happening, but for the most part, we had no support about spiritual things or things that were like you said, you saw ghost spirits. That's what we called them,
Hmm.
ghosts, because we didn't say spirit, like we couldn't say we saw Aunt so and so or this one or that one, like people would have thought we were crazy. So like you just said, but I feel like now we are living in such amazing times that people are more open and maybe even more accepting. And I feel like that is what's so beautiful. Like we can share our stories, like you're sharing yours tonight. And, it can help others to know, that they can go back to a time in their life where maybe they were having, scary things or experiences and felt like, wait, what I'm being taught there doesn't resonate within my spirit. Like, I don't think that's right or true. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, so I'm trying to bring us back into your story again. So you did the healing on your husband. So obviously, you took some classes, and that's where we met. We met
Yes.
in classes, and I think it
Yeah.
was around 2019, right? Was that right
Yep.
about that?
Yeah.
Yep.
2019,
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
we really connected because we both had horses and their names were
Yep.
Lucky. We both had a horse and they were both paints named Lucky, and we still
Yep.
have those horses. But yeah, so since then, like your growth and your spirituality, like where are you now? And like bring us into the now and like where you're going with this in the future. Like what's your vision?
Well, my vision, um, would love to just keep healing others
Mhm.
because I know what it's like to be at the bottom of the pit and beyond. Uh, you know,
Right.
um, I right before I stopped drinking, I used to pray every night for God to not let me wake up.
Mhm.
I lost hope. I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And even though I have a wonderful, amazing husband and kids,
Hmm.
I just, there was just something. And then the one day I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I chose to live.
Hmm.
And I chose to live. And in choosing to live and opening up, um, you know, going into AA and everything, that I think that really, really did help me. Not only just did my sponsor, but they tell you to look for a higher power. Well, I was hooking the higher power up to religion, and it was keeping me stuck there.
Yeah.
But once I separated God from
Hmm.
religion,
Yes.
it's like whoosh, everything opened up.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that, and luckily have all these amazing talks with my sponsor. You
Hmm.
know, not just on the sobriety part, but on the spiritual part, and because it
Hmm.
all links, it's
Yeah.
all healing, and through that, I was able to do so much. When I was 15, part of what happened was I was strangled.
Hmm.
And I I did not realize throughout my lifetime how often, if I could touch, I would wince. Didn't notice that until people pointed it out to me.
Hmm.
So I did, and I'd been through a lot of counseling, but it was still there. And I actually got the strength to go to a self-defense instructor and have him help me because I was sick of being triggered. I would get triggered and it would be such a strong reaction.
Hmm.
And so he was wonderful and amazing and walked me through the steps, taught me how, you know, and he also, which in my mind I knew, but sometimes the shame doesn't let you accept it,
Yeah.
that I did the best I could, and that was a situation that I just couldn't get out of,
Mhm.
you know. And but I did get away, obviously. But
Mhm.
you know, it started lifting off the shame. So now I can say that I own my story, and my story no longer owns me.
Mhm.
So I choose life, and I choose to be happy, and I want to help others, you know, find out that they can heal. There's hope, and there's happiness, and
Yes.
it feels so good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as much as I worked on healing
Mhm.
Doc, he healed me too.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, speak about that, because people are, they sometimes wonder, that does my animal understand me? Does my animal know what I'm saying? Does my animal know that I love them? So I get these
mhm.
questions a lot. So bring people into that awareness, like the consciousness that you share with Doc.
Oh, yeah. So like I said, it took me over a year to let me touch his face.
Mhm.
You could not put any fly spray. You couldn't, you had to pen him up to do anything. Now you could put a halter on. He had been to a trainer. He was just so stubborn and so beat down. So when I picked him up, the trainer had said, you know, most horses, when there's a bunch of them, if one's, in their way, whatever, they'll kick the horse behind them. And usually the horse will then move. He said Doc would not. Doc would just stand there. So Doc would take it.
Mhm.
Um, but now, Doc, the horses, when I come up, my husband laughs every time if he's outside because I'll pull up in my car and they're neighing and they're up at the fence
Mhm.
and, they want me in there right away.
Mhm.
And I'll go in and so I have Doc, Lucky, and then Little Star. Star is a mini horse. And they all come up and I have my little ways of doing things with them.
Mhm.
They have to have their grain first, of course.
Mhm.
And but you know, giving him hugs. Now I can put my head forehead to forehead with Doc.
Mhm.
Um, he knows I hug him every day. The
Mhm.
smell of him,
Mhm.
the smell of like yeah, and they understand me. They know, um, they know if I'm in a sad mood or whatever, they react to that.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was just a couple months ago. It would have been November. A friend of mine, she committed suicide, and I was torn up. And
Yeah.
I'd already fed the horses and everything, but I went in there,
Mhm.
and they gave me so much love,
Yeah.
so much love, and like Doc and Lucky,
Mhm.
sometimes just they'll just be one, but when I need it, they're both there. I've had them both, come behind me, and they both would put their each head, one head on each shoulder,
Mhm.
you know. Or
Yep.
Doc knows when I need to laugh. If I have like a winter coat on, he likes to take the zipper up and he can, yeah. And the farrier that used to see him, he used to see him at this other place too, and he just couldn't believe the changes in Doc. And he told me that if I hadn't have taken Doc, Doc would have lived either a horrible life or probably be dead.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, Doc can be goofy and Lucky can be goofy and Little Star, yeah,
Mhm.
he's really, yeah. So they totally know.
They
And
do.
then to see someone, because I'll have people come out,
Mhm.
and I call it equine connection. So they connect with the horse and just work with the horse. It's not any riding, but they can come just so anxious. And these horses know
Mhm.
exactly what to do, exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And like I said, Doc's a bigger horse. He's not a Clydesdale, but he's a bigger horse.
Mhm.
And that can be scary.
Right.
Um, but they're good. They're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you feel like with horses, the more that you give, of yourself emotionally, the more
Mhm.
they open up to the person. Like a lot of times, I'll work with people with their horses, like with animal communication, and they'll be closed off or they'll be very like into the steps, and you got to get them into that same state of being with their horse because you're connected because you're on that horse, so that horse, whether people realize fully, like feels everything in your body, they really do. So
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like I feel like that's why sharing these stories and letting people know that animal communication is a real thing. Like people's connection to animals in the future is going to be so much deeper than it is now because as we expand in consciousness, I
hmm
believe that, our animals are just going right along with us. It's like we get smarter, we get more aware and more conscious of everything that they are, the more that they open up, to us because I feel like we do all like rise together, What do you think about that?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I completely. I also have dogs, and you know,
Yeah.
they know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I they totally do.
They
So
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and when I'm having a bad day, they will lay on me. And
Mm-hmm.
one's a German Shepherd. So
Mm-hmm.
when she lays on you, she's on you and you are not moving.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
but they also, it's like they're taking and they're soothing our regulatory system. I don't know even know if that's the word, but they're soothing us and taking,
Mm-hmm.
just like the horses can
Yep.
take that stress, that anxiety, and yeah,
Yep.
you can. And I talk to my animals all the time.
Yeah. Me
And
too. Always
yeah,
have.
yeah.
Normal for me.
Oh yeah. We
You
have
know?
a new puppy in the house.
Uh-huh.
Well, she likes to, when she gets outside, if I don't have her on the leash, because she does like to run a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
trying to get her in, and if she's not listening, then I'm like, okay, Belle, help me get her in. And
Mm-hmm.
Belle will. Belle
Mm-hmm.
will help round her up and get her up the stairs and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
you
know.
just can't make it up, like you talk to them like they're people and they respond like a person. I'll share a really funny story. I had a little Pomeranian, for years. And she got so good with the English language that I had to start to spell because she'd always be like 3 steps ahead of what we were going to do, and she would put herself in a place where she wasn't supposed to be. So then she learned how to spell. I'm not kidding you. So then
I'll
we
believe
had to
it.
do Pig Latin, and she never quite caught on to Pig Latin, It was hilarious. My mom and I would be like,
Yeah.
looking around and see where she was, and we'd have to start speaking in Pig Latin, Um, yeah, that's kind of like jumbled up talk. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but
Oh
you're
yeah, I
like, yeah,
remember Pig
okay,
Latin.
okay, yeah,
I remember Pig
yeah,
Latin.
yeah. So, but it was hilarious. But yeah, they're super intelligent. They
Mm-hmm.
know they know everything. I hate to tell people, but they do know everything,
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah. So,
And animals will pick up, if there's something bad about somebody, they'll pick it up.
yes, they will.
And that's not that often, but I have seen
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, well,
Yes,
they're amazing.
they
Yeah,
are.
totally.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, I always say, can you imagine life without animals?
No, nope.
You know,
Mhm.
I just
I
can't.
could not. I could not.
Hmm.
If I could just work with animals,
Hmm.
well, no, I'd still have to be around some people. But yeah, that
Yeah.
would be, oh yeah. Of course,
Yeah.
I do want an elephant, but my husband won't let me have one.
Well, you have to come visit me. We'll go. They have the elephant sanctuary here in Oklahoma. So if you come
Ah,
visit me, we can go there. You can
yes.
actually stay. They have like a little cottage where you can stay, and the elephants come up to your little. Yeah, you can feed them and stuff. Can you
Ah,
imagine waking up and having
ah,
the elephants out there?
yes, that would be heaven.
Talk about healing, right? Like horses have
Hmm
that big toroidal field around them, like
hmm
we do. And when you're in that, can you imagine how large an elephant's is? Like if you've ever been to a zoo, not that I'm a big fan of
hmm
zoos, but like you feel that energy. I remember going and just seeing the elephants in person,
hmm
and and they would sway like there'd be music playing and they're actually swaying like to the
Yep.
music, like getting into the song, you know? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like years ago, thinking these are amazing creatures, you know?
Oh, they are.
Hmm.
They truly are. Elephants and horses have always been,
Yep,
I guess, probably my spirit animals.
yep, yep.
So
Deep
obviously,
connection. Yep,
elephant. Um,
deep connection. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But and I have elephants like scattered throughout here.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just
Very,
I would,
very,
whenever we go to a zoo, that's where I want to go to, the elephant.
yep,
I want to see
yep.
the elephants.
I feel like, how do you feel about this? Like, in connecting with animals, right? Have you found that each animal has come to do a specific job or a specific, um, like even wild animals, you know, like even connecting with animals in the wild. Do you get a sense for that at all?
Hmm.
Yeah.
They had, I was going out to feed the horses one day, and I had already been in the barn, and I went to go walk out of the barn, and there was a dove that was laying right by the barn door, and I don't know what happened to it before, but I'm like, okay, so I'm like, come on. I was trying to, like, but it didn't do anything. So and because I have the German Shepherd, I don't know how she would she is with, she chases bunny rabbits, so I didn't know. So I
Mm-hmm.
brought her into the barn. I picked up the dove, brought her into the barn, and then, set her down, and I just, did some energy healing on her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put her in a spot which was warmer and safer.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back later and she was gone.
Mm-hmm. You
So
healed her.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, can you explain like what if for the people watching, you know, when they have an animal, like say their little dog or cat or whatever animal companions they have, and they know it's having a bad day and it's not feeling well, how would you tell them to give that animal healing? Like how would you tell them to set that up? You know?
Well, you want to sit with them, where they're comfortable. They don't necessarily have to be on your lap.
Mhm.
Um, I did have my son's dog actually. I ran her over, not on
Mhm.
purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
did not see her, and she broke her leg really bad, had to have pins put in it.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of healing,
Mhm.
and it was just, but you're moving the energy. You're using your hands
Mhm.
and your love,
Mhm.
and you're passing it through to them,
Mhm.
and just loving them because they feel it.
Mhm.
They absolutely do feel it,
Yeah, I
you know.
agree. Yeah. So it's like I think the awareness is that we all have the ability to heal each
Mhm.
other, you know, and I think that, you know, animals are pure spirits, you know. Some of them can be a little butt heads, you know, like they're like
Yeah,
people, like animals can be butt heads too, but for the
yeah.
most part, like they do have a pure spirit. Like they have no agenda, you know. Yeah, they can watch things and pre-calculate, but for the most part, you know, they do have that pure spirit. So um, it's like I forgot what I was gonna say. Like I was trying to make a point about that. Yeah, like, do you think that they are like they receive it, but do you like as you set it up and you send it, are you actually feeling like you're receiving healing back from them as well?
I do.
Yeah.
Whenever I do any healing, I always come off just feeling so
Yep.
serene. So no aches,
Yep.
no, none of that.
Yeah. And they believe too, you know, like I think that's what people have to do. We have to believe more and know
Mhm.
that, you know, we do have these abilities. And I think that animals really get us in tune with that, you know?
Yeah, they don't have any preconceived um conceptions, ideas.
Mhm.
They don't, yeah, they don't have that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear, like even today I heard about, I was suggesting, well, have you tried healing touch? Maybe that
Mhm.
can help it. you'd have to believe in that stuff for it to actually work. I'm like, not really, because it's energy. You're
Mm-hmm.
moving energy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's science because we are made up of energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you don't necessarily have to believe in it to have it help.
That's true. A lot of people have come in not believing and then they
Yeah.
feel it and then they realize, okay, it's kind of like the unseen. Like we
Mhm,
believe in spiritual realm, God, angels, universe, whatever. And
mhm,
we don't see that for the most part, right? Yeah, if you're clairvoyant, you'll get glimpses of other dimensions, realms.
mhm,
But for the most part, we pretty much are in this game not seeing, but we believe in a lot of things that we don't necessarily physically, see with our eyes.
mhm.
So it is pretty wild when you think of it like that. So yeah, it's deep. Um, yeah, is there anything else that you would like to say about like where you see yourself? I know you said that you wanted to do this, all the time for your life's work. So,
Yeah.
but so where do you see yourself? Like you have the farm, you have the animals, you have a place set up, and you told me prior to that you do actually work with people and even mentioned that, but like where do you actually like want to be like in the future with this? Because I know I see for you like you will expand upon this, like you really will.
I would love to have, you know, I am working on trying to find a grant so I can fix up. I have a 100-year-old barn,
Mhm.
but it needs a lot of work, so
It's
we gotta work on
beautiful. Yep.
getting that fixed up
Mhm.
and doing that and helping people begin the healing process,
Yeah.
because there's so much that you can do, but the other person does have to put in the,
Yes.
the time and the energy too.
Hmm.
Um, I would love to just do that.
Hmm.
And I have actually even set it up. So, and this is just for adults right now. And I've just done a few, but where you set up a massage table
Hmm.
in the barn and the horses come up
Hmm.
and they will come and they will work on you. And
Yes.
it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It,
And
yeah.
yeah,
It's
to continue to
magical.
do
It's
that,
really magical, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
is. It is.
Yeah.
And eventually I'm going to write that book.
Hmm. Good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think that as we move forward, and people should be aware, that you can speak to your animals. They do understand you.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have an animal that's anxious, speak to that animal. Like if you're going on a trip, they already know you're going. So you might as
Yeah.
well just speak to them like they're your little toddler, and say, look,
Hmm.
I have to go and I'm going to be gone for this long and I'm going to be back and you'd be amazed at how well they actually receive that once you fill them in. Do you
Hmm.
find that true too?
Oh, absolutely. I'm always telling my dogs, okay, I'll be gone this long.
Yep.
Uh, I had it last week where I had someone coming over because they were having a very horrible day. And I said, well, come on over. You can see the horses. And she's like, but I'm afraid of your dog, the German Shepherd. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'll put Belle inside.
Yep.
Now, I put Belle inside, but I didn't tell her, you need to, stay in here.
Right.
And Belle even though she's a German, she loves people.
Yeah.
And so she was mad.
Mm-hmm.
She was very mad. I came in and she had the garbage can tipped over. She ate a cupcake off the counter. She got a couple cookies and even some bread, which is not her normal behavior. Because usually I
So
can leave her
funny.
alone in the house, none of it
Right.
is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's like some ground beef in the garbage, but
Right. Right.
yeah.
Right.
And then she was letting me know she was
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
And,
It's
and
hilarious.
so I could have come in and yelled at her and this and that. And I just shook my head, cleaned it up,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And we're laughing about it now because it
Yeah.
is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
I mean,
funny.
yeah. You're gonna do that to me? Fine.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
that's so cute. Yeah, that's hilarious. Um,
So,
so would it be okay after people watch this podcast, that they could reach out to you?
yes. Yes.
Okay, and how would that be? Do you have an
I
email?
have,
And
I
I'll
have,
put that in the link if you
yeah,
do. Yeah.
yeah, I do.
Okay,
Yeah. And then
we'll do that.
I have on Facebook Healing Illuminations. That's
Okay,
my
Facebook.
page.
All right, awesome.
It's a private page, but that's more just to keep the trolls
Yep,
out.
I get it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know how that healing illuminations. All right. And all of Claire's information will be in underneath this video in the description. And so yeah, I just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing just a little bit of your story. I know you have so much more, and we, Claire and I, will be doing some lives in the future together. We will be doing more talk about animal communication, our animal stories, all of that. And also, we will be collaborating to do more things in the future. So be on the
Yes.
lookout for that live on my YouTube channel. And I did want to add, for anybody watching, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Let's support each other spiritually. And also, if you watching have a spiritual awakening story or something you'd like to share, I'm always looking for people to come on and share so we can all help each other grow and learn and expand, so that we are no longer labeled as the weirdos, like we are not weird and we are just experiencing life maybe on a
Um,
little different frequency, right?
I am weird.
Yeah.
I
Well, then I understand you're
am.
kind of weird then.
I own it. I own it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just call it just being
But
attuned to
yeah,
energy in our
yeah,
environment. And
yeah.
I feel like people are more willing to step into that now. And it's not that, you're putting anyone down for the way they believe or
Mhm.
see the world, you know.
Nope.
It's just that if you experience things on a different level, you can't go back. It's like once you take the training wheels off, like you leave them off and you just keep riding. And so that is what this podcast is. It's not about anybody feeling like we're more advanced or more
No.
special than anyone else. That's not it at all.
No
It's
comparison.
no, it's just to raise the awareness, the frequency, and to
Hmm.
know that we all have something to heal and we are
Absolutely.
all healers. We really are.
Yeah.
Genuinely, we are all healers.
Yeah.
We have the ability to heal with just our love, our compassion, and our kindness.
Mhm.
And animals bring out all of those things in people because when you've been hurt by other people, animals can do the healing that no other person can do.
They absolutely can.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, some people think that I'm crazy for having horses. They call them, what do they, hay burner, whatever. I don't know.
Hmm.
But to me, it's not even yeah, it's I don't know how I would live, Doc
Yep.
came into my life and
Yep.
then Lucy and Star
Hmm.
for a reason. Just like, with my husband. You
Right.
meet, yeah, it's
Yeah.
all part of the life and lessons,
Yep.
you know. Um, yeah, dogs, animals can teach us a lot of lessons.
They do. I always say the animals in my life have been some of my greatest teachers.
Hmm.
Hmm.
They
Yeah,
absolutely are.
yeah.
So,
So I just so like I said, I'm going to leave all of your information below, and if anybody would like to connect with Claire, it will be there. And we just thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to your comments. And if you have any questions, you can post your questions below this video as well, and Claire and I will answer your questions. We'd be more than pleased to do that. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, with that being said, we are wishing everyone light, love, peace, and blessings of all kinds. Until next time.